What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by Auto. My name is Max, and today I'm taking you around this gorgeous 1988 VW Golf GTi. This is a Mark II GTi, and it is the successor to, well, basically the big daddy of the hot hatch, the Mark I Golf GTi, which I also did a review on. Click in the top right corner if you want to check that out first, and then come back for the successor, which was built between 1983 and 1992. And well, I'm going to show you around it. This car is part of the heritage collection at VW in the Netherlands, so really cool that we were able to take out this car as well. Yeah, I'm going to show you around it, and then we'll take it for a little drive on this beautiful B road. It is a tomato red, tomato it's with a D, not a T. Tomato red Golf 2 GTi 8 valve, and it is an unrestored 243,000 kilometer Golf Mark II GTi, and it is in really good condition. This car is a testament to the build quality of these cars, because I've been driving it around for like 3 days now, and it's just been amazing. I've been having so much fun, and you can see that other people love it as well, which is also cool. So let's take a look at the car, and let's start with the obvious. It looks slightly different than a Mark I Golf, which was designed by Giugiaro. This was designed in-house by VW, basically taking the Golf 1 design and enlarging it a little bit. It is a little bit less elegant. It is not as successful of a design as a Golf 1, I would say, but still it has some of the same design cues, like all the angles, all the straight edges. You have little flared arches here, but they're not as pronounced as the Golf 1. You also have the little chin spoiler, but also not as deep as the Mark I. Everything is a little bit bigger. It's like magnified by 10%. It is still a handsome car, I think. I really love the design with the grille. This is a later model, so you get bigger slats in the grille. GTI badge, these hella lights as well, and a little bumper here. You also had a USA bumper version, which is even bigger than this. But still, I think even today, it's a good looking car. So, tire size has also grown a little bit. So this is a 185 tire on a 14-inch wheel. The Golf 1 had 175s on a 13-inch. Lovely little wheels here. Look at that. That is just so gorgeous. The GTi also gets lowered suspension. And you know what I think? It's a relatively small car, of course, but it doesn't look dainty. It kind of looks a little bit tough with all the plastic bumpers, the spoiler here, that kind of the splitter that kind of goes into the wheel arches. You have that black line here, the plastic strip here, the side skirt. It kind of works really well. And I do have a special bond with this car, because my grandmother used to own a Golf 2, not a GTi of course, but a regular Golf 2, a white one. And she would take us everywhere in that thing when we were sleeping over. So yeah, when I opened up this car, I was like, oh yeah, it's like a smack in the face, transported back in time. So at the rear we've got a little bumper. Oh, I do have to show you, of course, that we have the red line in the grille. So like with the Golf 1, you have this red accent in the grille that all GTIs should have. And then at the rear you get this black accent on the trunk as well, around the window, little spoiler here. And this car has a little dual exhaust. I'm not sure if that's stock. I don't know if that is the way it's always been, because that looks rather new, but still it's quite nice. So let's take a look at the engine. As I said, this is an 8-valve version. So this is a 1.8 liter fuel injected 8-valve 4-cylinder naturally aspirated with 107 horsepower. So when the Golf 2 was introduced, the Golf 2 GTi, it basically had the same engine as the Golf 1, the second version of the Golf 1 GTi, the 1.8, with 112 horsepower. But when they needed to introduce catalytic converters, that kind of took a little bit from the power. So this is 107 horsepower. There are later versions of the Golf Mark II that have a newer 1.8 liter with 16 valves, so 4 valves per cylinder with a new head design. And those cars have 139 horsepower or 129 horsepower if you have the catalytic converter version. So this car weighing 960-ish kilos instead of the 840 of the Golf Mark 1 GTi, it's actually slower. Potentially, it's slower than the Golf 1 GTi. When it came out, or when this 107 horsepower version was introduced, it was slower than the Golf 1, and that was not great. Combine that with the fact that Opel had the Kadett GSI and they were working on a 2-liter version, 130 horsepower. There were others around, Simca, Peugeot, Ford, of course. They were all doing hot hatches after the success of the Golf 1. And yeah, they kind of fell behind with this one. So they introduced the 16 valve with 139 horsepower, which was quite a lot for those days. And then later on, you also had a G60 version with a supercharger and 160 horsepower. I would absolutely love to drive one. If anyone has one, please contact us. And then also there's a limited version built by Volkswagen Motorsport, 71 of those they built, a G60 supercharged with 210 horsepower in a Golf 2, 960 kilos, 210 horsepower. Man, that must have been so much fun, and especially back then, crazy. And they also built a Golf 2 Rally, which also was really cool. And there was a homologation special with like wide arches. There were so many cool cars back then. And apparently the vice president of VW back then, he really wanted to build like a rally car and go rallying and stuff like that. But he died in a plane or in a terrorist attack by Libyan terrorists, and they blew up the plane over Scotland when he was flying from Germany to the US. So yeah, that's very unfortunate, and that kind of put all the rally stuff a bit, you know, on the back burner. So interior wise, big difference compared to the Mark 1. So the Mark 2 is bigger, it's higher, it's wider, the wheelbase has grown and every dimension has grown, and you really feel that in here. It is a lot less cramped. It feels good. This actually works for me, which I was not expecting. So this is a 1988 8-valve version. It's an original Dutch car, unrestorated, 244,000 kilometers, and as I said, it is just burring along happily, and I'm just having so much fun. So we've got the tartan on the seats, of course, quintessential Golf GTi, and the golf ball shifter. Let's head out for a little drive. A lovely gauge cluster here. I absolutely love that. It's so simple and beautiful, and it has this green light at night, just mega. And so here's the big difference compared to the Golf Mark 1. This feels so much smoother. Everything feels so much smoother, like the engine, the gearbox. This little engine is so happy to rev. And it's not a fast car by any means. It's not like crazy fast, but second gear, honestly, as I said, I've been driving it for 3 days, so that means everything, like city, highways, B roads, everything, and it is just so happy doing everything, and it has more than enough power to keep up with everything, which is weird because 107 horsepower is not a lot, and also not even for 960 kilos. So yeah, I don't know what that is. I think it's just the low weight just makes it, I don't know, just such a fluent driving experience, and you're not like always accelerating, decelerating for the corner. It's just a sort of a flowing driving experience. I don't know how else to describe it, but it feels so much more modern than the Golf 1, and this actually feels like proper doable if you would want to daily drive this. It feels like it would be perfectly happy to do it. Which I was not expecting. right, so listen to that. It's incredible. This thing is like almost 40 years old. Shit, I really want one, man. It's so, as I said in the Mark 1 review, it's so nice to drive old cars because they smell nice, they sound good, they're not too serious, and it feels like they have a character. It feels like they have a personality, like you kind of bond with the car in a couple of days. Whereas with modern cars, I'm not really bothered with them in that way. I like driving them, but you don't feel connected to them like you do with this old GTi. So handling wise, yeah, we've got pretty indirect. Hey, there's Martijn with the Golf 1 to record the sound. Like with the Golf 1, the steering is pretty indirect, but I feel like it's a little bit less so than before. And also the suspension is really good. It's supple, it's comfortable, it soaks everything up. It's, yeah, really well balanced. I mean, honestly, let me just close the windows for a little bit less of that wind noise because it's quite windy out, but it's just purring along and just having a good time. Lovely little gearbox as well, much better than the Golf 1. They also had four-wheel drive versions available of the Golf 2 GTi. The G60 was available with or without four-wheel drive, Synchro as it was called back then. And that rally version also had four-wheel drive, I think, and the Limited also did have that. But it doesn't really need it. It doesn't need it. I mean, if you have 210 horsepower, I can imagine that it would be nice, but this is the slowest version you can get. This is like the least sporty, least aggressive, least powerful version of the Golf 2 GTi you can get, and still I'm having so much fun. It's so good. It's so much better than I was expecting, to be fair. I didn't know these were so good. Otherwise I would have owned one many years ago when they were super cheap and not really that appreciated. You know, everyone was always talking about the Golf 1, but this is actually actually a lot better. It's just a lot better. Okay, so little launch. 0 to 100, 10.3 seconds claimed. I did 9.3. How about that? that is pretty impressive. 9.3 seconds. Top speed is 187 kilometers an hour, I think. Yeah, I'm not really eager to try that. Although it is perfectly fine at like 140, 150 kilometers an hour, surprisingly. So here's a cool fun fact. That limited Golf with 210 horsepower, Golf 2, it did 6.4 seconds 0 to 100, which is just nuts. And it took VW quite a long time to build a Golf that was quicker. It was the Golf Mark IV R32 with 240 horsepower. That was the first time they beat that 0 to 100 time of the Mark II Limited. So that is pretty nuts. So yeah, I'm really loving this. I'm really loving this. A 16 valve. Yeah, I might. In the future, in like maybe for next summer, I would love to. So they built 628,000 of these Mark II Golfs, and it was a very popular car. The GTIs also were very popular, but most of them were kind of ruined in the 90s. Rust is also an issue, of course, so the good ones that remain nowadays, they are worth quite a bit of money, even though it wasn't the case not too long ago. But yeah, I feel like, you know, especially the Mark III and IV GTI were really hated, but the 2 was also underappreciated for a long time. So I'm happy that it now gets the praise it deserves, and I've really enjoyed driving it. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you want to see another old car, let us know in the comments and we'll see if we can try to make that happen. For now, this is it. Hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe by clicking the big button in the middle. You can also check out this video, this playlist, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.